Our top story tonight, chaos inside of a Walmart. An off-duty deputy shoots and kills an armed 16-year-old accused of shoplifting. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. Now investigators looking into whether this was all justified. And Fox 35's Chancellor Wynn joins us live right now in Osceola County. So Chancellor, walk us through at this point what we know. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, John, a shoplifting call turns deadly inside of this Walmart right near other shoppers. The Osceola County Sheriff's Office says it all started when a 16-year-old pulled out a gun.
We shoot to save lives. That's it in a nutshell.
16-year-old Jairus Jones killed when an Osceola Sheriff's deputy shot him inside of a Poinciana Walmart on Cypress Parkway, sending shoppers scrambling for their safety.
Everyone was running and screaming. In that moment, I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna die with my daughter here.
Deputies say the teen was shoplifting and had a gun in his hand while running from the deputy towards other shoppers. Law enforcement training expert Steve Kelly says that gun and shoppers being nearby is an important part of the situation because he says the deputy is trained to protect those people.
Wherever we go, we are there to ensure the safety of the public. That's our number one goal. They've got to feel safe and be safe. And if there's a guy running at us with a gun, their safety's in jeopardy. I have to take action. I'm wired. I must take action to save their life.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement now investigating the deadly shooting. And defense attorney Michael Piniella says the FDLE is looking to determine if Jones was a threat to the deputy or to other shoppers.
Once the firearm was introduced, if it was pointed at anyone, then that's something that I'd like to see on that body cam. But if it wasn't, and we just learned that he just happened to have a firearm, but wasn't threatening to use it, that's going to make this case a lot more difficult for FDLE to analyze.
What? Man, listen, man. So, 16-year-old teen was, apparently shoplifting, being accused of shoplifting in a Walmart. He had a gun on him. And he was killed by an off-duty officer who, was allegedly, looking to stop the shoplifter there. But what sense does it make for one to have a gun on you and you're going in there to commit a crime like stealing? Two, if you brandish that gun, you have to know that law enforcement is going to see that as a threat and take you out. You're in a Walmart. There's going to be customers everywhere. There's going to be kids in there. There's going to be employees in there. These are people who are innocent, who are not a part of your, plan to go and steal. And, again, my condolences to the family for the young man who lost his life. But this wasn't a smart decision at all. It wasn't a smart decision. And I don't know what is on these people's minds who think it's cool to go up in Walmart stealing. There's cameras everywhere. If you look up at the ceiling in Walmart, those little devices that hang from the ceiling with the black ball around them, those are cameras that can turn all the way, in different ways to see multiple things. It can zoom in on you. It has face recognition. There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras on the self-checkouts when you go check out. There's cameras everywhere in Walmart. And so, if you have any intentions on going there and to steal, I would rethink it. And there's also asset protection there. In a lot of these Walmarts now, there's sheriffs, multiple sheriffs. It's just because, Walmart has learned they have to put a lot into asset protection because, believe it or not, man, they lose millions of dollars every year to either employees stealing or, customers stealing. And, so again, if you have a gun on you, you're in there committing a crime like stealing, and then you run towards anybody with the gun, and there's officers that are trying to detain you at the moment, and you have the gun, they're going to light you up because they have to protect the lives of others. They have to make sure that no one else who isn't supposed to be injured is going to be injured in this situation. A lot of people just see it like, man, it's an officer who shot a kid and stuff like that. Man, look, if the kid was in there stealing from a business, and the kid had a weapon on him, and the kid took that weapon out as if he was going to use it, whether he was going to use it or not, um, you just put yourself into a position of where you're going to get shot. You know, you just putting yourself into a bad position. And if it's something that you don't have, man, you got to have someone around you, or, someone who, that if you go to them and say, I want this, but I don't have the means to get it, and I would rather ask if someone could help me get it versus going in here and stealing it, you're more than likely going to get, some help. But 16, man, losing your life like this, man, that's just not the way to go about. It's not the way to go about it.
Sheriff's office says they will release body camera video once the FDLE reaches a certain point in their investigation. The sheriff's office also points out that 2 other people were with the 16-year-old at the time, but they took off running from the Walmart. Now, at this point, deputies have identified those 2 other people, but they're not facing any charges. Well, coming up at 11 o'clock, we'll tell you if those 2 people could be held accountable for the death of the 16-year-old. Reporting live in Point.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if those people were adults or just other teens that was also around his same age. But these guys, man, I've done plenty of stories, and it's kids younger than 16 out here with guns and have access to guns, or have purchased a gun from someone, and they walk around with it and they have it, and they just don't even understand that just having it and going and doing stuff like this can lead to you losing your life. And if you have to learn that lesson, man, a lot of times you're not going to be able to go to the next day to even, try to act out on what you learned from that lesson, man. Someone's going to be planning funeral arrangements for you. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Love yourself and love your life a lot more than just to do something like this. To put yourself into a position of where, you can be shot by a cop, or you can be shot by another customer, or anything like that, because you're being accused of stealing, and then you brandish the gun. But when this body cam footage comes out, man, it's gonna be very interesting. I'm sure one of those body cam channels here on YouTube is gonna have that footage. It's gonna be very, very interesting, and it's gonna be interesting to see the aftermath of this whole thing, and what happens with this. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this whole ordeal. Do you guys feel like it's okay for, teenagers or anyone who's going in to steal to, also have a gun and brandish that gun? And, once a gun's brandished, you don't know if the person's going to shoot or not. You really don't know. So you can't just to sit there and say, what that attorney was saying. Did he point the gun or just in the third? I mean, a lot of people are not going to even risk their lives or risk the chance of their lives to even find out. And that's because they value and they love their life. They're not going to let another person bring that type of harm to them. So they're going to be quick on it and do what they need to do to make sure that the person who has the gun is down. So, very sad story, man, in my opinion. Because, man, these young guys is out here thinking that, the decisions that they make are smart decisions. And really, man, they make decisions like this, and it ultimately costs them their lives or their freedom. It's never worth it. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.